Hello and welcome to the Game Design Archive with Edward and Ludwig. Episode 12.
Hello.
Today we're going to talk about forcing players to commit. Over to you, Ludwig.
Yes. So, we are of the opinion that something is missing in modern games, I guess.
I mean, there are games.
Yeah, true. But in many modern games. And that's that they, in general, don't force the player to commit to their actions.
What does that mean, Ludwig?
Yes. It means that, in general, actions don't really have any consequences.
Yes.
And perhaps I should just start with an example right away to explain more clearly what I mean. So let's take Vulgar Viking, for example.
Oof.
It's famous for having a jump which you can't control, right? So when you jump,
if I would say it's famous.
Well, okay, yeah, it's true, but
for anything, but yes, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, one of the most fun and unique things about that game, weirdly enough, is that once you've pressed jump, you are committed to that jump. You can't control it in the air. The direction you were going in before the jump, you are going in during the jump. And if there's any enemy in the way, they're gonna hit you and you're gonna take damage.
Although you can make another jump.
That's true, you have a double jump.
Yeah. And that's an attack as well. So it does have some...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. The point I'm trying to make is that the jump in Vulgar Viking forces the player to commit. Once the player has jumped, there is nothing he can do if anything pops up in the way. And, if he, for example, or if the player, misjudged the jump or almost jumped into some spikes or something, he's fucked in that situation. Like, he is going towards those spikes, and there's nothing he can do about it.
Unfortunate.
And that's interesting game design. And it's also something that's, as I said, is missing from a lot of modern games.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, I guess the first point I wanted to make is that, I guess modern games, I'm complaining a lot about modern game design, but in modern game design, there seems to be a lot of focus on like letting the player recover or like letting the player react to whatever's happening. I
would go further. I think it's even by design, like
they
are actively designing.
Yeah.
Because and it makes sense because if you sit someone down and you have a playtest, right, which these bigger companies do, what you will notice is that players will complain about things that they can't do anything about in the moment, right?
Yeah.
So the designers themselves get direct feedback that that's bad, right? And then they change that.
Yeah.
The problem is that, like you said, a lot, or if not all, interesting decisions comes from that, right? So it's actually a bit like, I guess it's unintuitive, because it's you're making the player feel bad in the moment.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. Is that
what I think the like important part of this is that if you can always do something about or if you can always do something to correct your mistakes, right? If you can always do something to correct your mistakes, then your choices that you've made so far don't really matter. I think that's the main problem with this sort of design view.
Yeah.
It's that, for example, if I jump and I misjudge my jump and I'm jumping right into some spikes, if I can recover from that, then the fact that I misjudged my jump doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
And so the game becomes less deep in a sense. And I'm not saying that
you
like
can combine.
Yeah. I'm not saying that all games where you can control your jump are less deep than all games where you can. where you can't control your jump. But it's like it's one aspect that could be like a part of it, right?
Yeah. Obviously, there's like a spectrum to how I guess lenient the mechanics are, or like how much, essentially how much you can just change what you're doing, right? Like you said with the jump, and you can have some mechanics, right? So modern games are, like you said, modern is not the right word, right? But
lame games.
Lame games, yeah. But a lot of the modern ideas, I should say, right? Modern ideas about how you should do it leans very heavily, like the parries, for example. Parries are a perfect example of this. Parry is a mechanic where you can actively stop something from happening, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about this before with like we made this example with I don't remember what episode it was, where we talked about like a grab or something, right?
Yeah.
Where you can't react, and how that's interesting.
Yeah, I think it was the Fair Games episode. You should watch that. It's good.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was that one. I feel like it was later, but
maybe it was.
Yeah.
What did you want to say?
Yeah, I think that was what I wanted to
okay.
say. That's. What were you saying before?
I was talking about how like allowing you to always recover means that your choices don't really matter.
Yeah, and I was just basically saying that that's like there's a range there, right?
Yeah,
You can have a combination of like.
Because you could argue like, oh yeah, then you could have one choice that only matters and all of the rest like don't matter. But that's not what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, as you said, it's a range.
I think the more commitment heavy the game is, the more strategical it is. So like if you have like a rhythm game, for example, that's complete reaction, right? Or not reaction, sorry, that's not the right word, but like there is no strategy in a rhythm game. You're just doing an action and it's timed, right? So there is no, you're not committing to anything, you're clicking the button when the right button at the right time, right? I guess someone could make a rhythm game with commitment. That would be interesting, actually. Maybe like having, you need to press. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, so I'm not saying you can't do non-committal games or whatever, right? It's just you can have basically at the moment most games are just no commitment, which is kind of uninteresting, I guess, is my point.
Yeah. And I think I want to actually go back to a point you were making earlier about testing with big studios.
Yeah.
Where it's like people, they let's take the uncontrollable jump, for example. They do the uncontrollable jump and then they fail and they say, wow, this is unfair. I couldn't do anything about the fact that I failed my jump. And I think this is a very like common problem, I guess. We talked about it in the fairness video a lot, I think too. And the thing is that, how should I say this? When you're in a situation that feels like you can't do anything, the easy solution is to, or I guess what's tempting to do as a game designer is to give the player some way to get out of that situation, right? But a lot of times the problem is that the player shouldn't have been in that situation from the start.
No, that is always the problem.
Yeah.
It's just a question if that's interesting or not.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what the game is or how, in quotation marks, bullshit the situation is, it's always the player's fault, right?
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, was it interesting, right? Was it interesting that I had to know this?
Yeah.
So you could take that even further and be like, oh yeah, you need, like, you have to chain your jumps, right? So you need to jump 10 times in a row and you need to stand in the correct spot in the first jump to make all 10 jumps in a row. That's still gonna be skill based.
Yeah.
It's just not the most fun thing, maybe, right? Or like interesting, I guess, is a better word to use, because games doesn't necessarily have to be fun, in my opinion. You see what I'm saying, right?
Yeah,
That like you can. So their argument is that it's not fair, right? But it's never not fair. It's just a question of, is it giving anything back?
Yeah.
Because what you're doing when you're adding a commit mechanic, like a committed action, is you're taking away from the action part and you're moving the mechanic into the strategy part.
Yeah.
So you have to think about it instead of reacting, right? Which is interesting in a lot of situations, but not necessarily all of them.
Yeah, I wanted to make an example about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
And that's in, any game with RNG, any turn-based strategy game with RNG.
Yeah.
I feel like...
Actually, can I make another example
go ahead.
before we move to turn-based?
Yeah.
Because I want to bring up this game again. I have brought it up before, and it's similar to Vulgar the Viking, except for there's a lot of differences, but like it's similar to Vulgar, which is Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection, right?
Yep.
It takes sort of the same thing. I mean, it's technically older, right? So it doesn't take anything from Vulgar, right? But in terms of like similarities, they are similar, but Ghosts and Goblins is way more. I think the guy that designed that game has he understands what we're talking about today very well, because that game is actually, there is almost nothing in that game that I can think of that is not commitment heavy. I think I brought up the example of there's this first area, right? I talked about this before. I'm gonna bring it up again real quick, where there's this graveyard, and there's zombies randomly spawning from this graveyard, and they're moving at you at random speeds, and there is tombstones that you can't walk past. You need to jump over, but you can't jump over them. You have to jump on them and then over them, I think. And your jump is you can't control the jump in the air, and the zombies can move past the tombstones, and the tombstones are low enough to where they hit your feet. So does my example make sense?
Yeah, like if you're standing on the tombstone, you still hit the zombies.
Yes, so you need to think about, okay, is the zombie gonna spawn here? Okay, can I jump now? Okay, is he moving fast? Okay, right, you need to think about all these things, right? And then there's other enemies as well and stuff, right? And so everything is I think we talked about it in the random episode, actually. Where there is so much going on, and all of it is like, you need to do, because there's no going back from actions in that game at all. Because of the it just keeps spawning, and I don't know if my point made sense.
I understand what you mean.
Yeah,
it's like, you have to actually consider your actions. You can't just if a zombie spawns,
your shot has a limit as well, right? So I don't remember if it's 1 or 2 or 3 or something, but it's like, if you throw you throw daggers, right? If you throw a dagger, you can't throw unlimited daggers until that dagger despawns.
Yeah.
Which is, it sounds super boring, because I mean, it doesn't to me, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
To a lot of people, it might sound boring, but it's super interesting, because it's like, I threw this and now I can't throw another one, so you're screwed, right?
Yeah.
And the animation is long, and all of that stuff adds, but
I guess what you're trying to say is that you need to consider what might happen in the future before you do something.
Yeah, and it's it's that times a million in that game, which makes that game super chaotic and interesting. And actually leads to it being sort of actually execution skill based, right? Because there's so much chaos.
Yeah.
Because what can happen with a lot of these games, and I think Vulgar does end up a bit like this, is where it's so static that you can sort of route everything, if that makes sense. Yeah. It's still
there's
interesting,
nothing random in Vulgar, right?
I don't know,
all
actually.
predetermined.
Yeah. Which means that you can sort of be like, okay, I'm gonna stand here, and then I'm gonna move here, and then which is still interesting. It's just less interesting, I guess. And that's also why I think a combination of the two might be better, like the having some execution elements.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's move to your example.
Yeah, so it's sort of similar, but of course since I'm talking about like turn-based strategy games, it's like no execution at all. It's all strategy, right?
Yeah.
And that's RNG, and like, you know, for example in XCOM, where if you shoot an alien, there's a 75% chance that you hit and a 25% chance that you miss. Like that sort of thing is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And what you hear a lot from people who are bad at these games or who are unfamiliar with these games, or who's like trying one of these games for the first time, there's a lot of complaining about the RNG in those games.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, there was an 80% chance to hit. How did I miss? Blah blah blah. You know.
Isn't there a review like that's important?
Yeah,
I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
The percentages did not add up. Is what I remember. Yeah. It was super funny. That's not 80%. That's 90% or something. And I like, what? Yeah. Sorry.
So there's like a lot of people complaining about how, you know, it's unfair that there's a 25% chance that I miss, you know, because I can't control it, right?
Yeah.
And I think we mentioned this in the RNG video, and it's something I always mention when I talk about RNG, and it's that if you are in a situation where the 25% chance to miss is then detrimental to you, then you are bad at the game. Like, because the point of the game
assuming
is
the game is
of course.
I mean, you could still argue that, well, it's still a skill issue, right? Because I guess you could have a game where it's impossible to have lower, or like, continue.
But like the point I'm trying to make is that the point of a game with RNG is to not put yourself in situations where the RNG matters too much.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, this is kind of the point I'm trying to make with recovery mechanics. It's that if you have a bunch of recovery mechanics, then you can't have a game where the choices you made, you know, 5 seconds ago matter a lot right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think, you know, obviously not every game has to be this way, but like, as you mentioned, modern game design it's very much focused on like recover all the time, you know, never commit to anything. And that's kind of boring. I want to play some games with on the other side of the spectrum.
Yeah, I feel like strategy games, I mean, obviously a lot of people say what you said, right? Mm-hmm. But I feel like at least on the designer side, some people understand this thing better in that space.
Yeah.
And I think that's because there is no execution element, right?
Yeah.
So they understand that they need the strategy part.
Yeah.
Whereas in action games, they don't acknowledge it at all. Actually, they look at it as a liability, like it's sort of this thing that old games did that is clunky or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Is how they look at it.
Yeah.
It feels like.
Yeah. I think you know, it's a good thing you brought that up, because, you know, if we take a turn-based strategy game as an example, and then remove the RPG or remove the RNG, sorry, you know, it becomes essentially a puzzle.
Remove the RPG as well.
Yeah. No, if you remove the RNG from something like XCOM, it becomes a puzzle game, right? Because nothing is unpredictable. Like, you know exactly what's going to happen in the future, so you don't need to worry. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, the way the enemy moves might be a bit different, but...
Which also proves our point that you can't do the other thing, right?
Yeah.
Because puzzle games are also cool, if they're good.
Yeah, exactly. But the point I wanted to make with this is I want to give a bad example of this.
Go ahead.
Or, well, it's sort of a gray area, because there is a good reason for it, but it's not a good solution to the problem, I think. There is one turn-based strategy game-ish that doesn't have RPG. That's pretty... RNG, sorry, I say RPG all the time. That doesn't have RNG. That's pretty good, actually, and it's called Into the Breach. If you haven't played it, I do recommend it. It's pretty fun.
I don't have play. I haven't played it. I'm sorry.
But that game... What?
I haven't played it, but I know.
You should. It's pretty fun.
I don't know.
But like that game does have one mechanic, or well, it has several mechanics I don't like. But the main mechanic that I want to focus on, it's that it has rewinds. So I think it's like I don't know if it's once per mission or if it's like a resource or something. I don't remember. It was quite a while ago I played the game. But you can essentially restart the entire mission from scratch. And there is, and you know, this is something that's become quite popular in modern like turn-based tactical strategy games, where it's like you have a certain amount of rewinds per turn or whatever. I think the Metal Slug Tactics does it too, and there's a few others. It's a very like popular thing in that type of game.
Yeah.
And to some extent, I do think that there is obviously a problem where it's like, if you actually misclick, like if you do something you didn't intend to do, it's very annoying that you have to like restart the mission if it fucks you up. But the problem with this solution, which is that it lets you rewind and like retry the mission or like correct your mistakes or like change something that you regret. The problem with that is that it totally removes commitment, right? So it's like one of the interesting parts.
It depends a bit because if it's a resource, it doesn't completely do it, but
it's kind of lame still, in my opinion.
Yeah. I know it's super lame. I think I find it more lame than you do, actually.
Maybe. But the point I wanted to make is that you know, recovering from your mistakes is interesting, I guess, and having a rewind is kind of removes that factor, right? So it's like if I play a strategy game and I fuck up and like one of my units dies or gets damaged or whatever, I need to, like, it's interesting for me to try to solve that problem. But allowing me to like change my action that I regret completely removes that part from the game, right? Because
finish your.
Yeah, well, I was kind of finished. It's like yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I agree, but for a completely different reason. So I have played a lot of Fire Emblem games, right? We talked about this before, and the newer ones have this rewind thing. It's a resource, and so what you're saying, it's not interesting because it removes the ability to recover.
Yeah,
which I agree with, but but it's not the main reason for me. The main reason for me is actually, so I'm actually quite interested in run-based stuff at the moment. We've talked about that before, right? And so a mission in a game like that, like Fire Emblem, is sort of a like run or whatever in quotation marks. And the nice thing about it is executing the entire thing, right, in one go, in quotation marks, without mistakes. I mean, you can make mistakes, but the point I'm trying to make is that it's the pressure. The pressure is what's interesting.
Yeah.
And that's what's lost when you have rewind.
That's also true.
And
that's a good point.
And that's like the big thing for me, because that's what makes those kinds of games interesting to me. If you remove the pressure, I would rather play a puzzle game, actually.
Yeah.
And also another point, which is actually super annoying, because when I play these Fire Emblems, I don't play with the rewind because it's more fun. But some of them are even designed around it, so they'll have like weird encounters that you can't predict and stuff to waste your rewinds, which is super stupid, right? Because the entire point of the mechanic is to you get what I'm saying, right? It's like, okay, I did not know that, now I restart the mission, right? Instead, since I don't use the rewinds, right? I don't know. So basically, I agree with you, but sort of for different reasons, I guess. Even though I agree with your reasons. Because you can say, go ahead.
Yeah, like I would say both are true. Like both are good points.
Yeah.
It's like both you don't need to like deal with your mistakes, and it removes the tension.
Yes.
And talking about tension, I actually have another example that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, there was one more thing I wanted to point out about
first,
that example. I forgot it now, though.
Okay.
What was it? Wait 1 second. Well, say what you were saying again. We were talking about
how it forces, or like it allows you to not deal with your mistakes, and it removes the tension.
Right. Yeah, no, I don't remember right now. Maybe I'll remember.
Let me know.
Okay.
You can interrupt me if you remember. So it's actually more towards the point that you were talking about, and that's the tension. And the perfect game for this is one that we mentioned on the channel a lot. It's Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy. In that game, you're like climbing a mountain with a big hammer, and it's a very silly, hard game. But the thing that makes that game, or one of the things that makes that game so great, is that there's no saving, there's no nothing. It's like if you fall from the mountain, or if you fall down from the mountain, you lose that progress permanent. You can't load a save. It's like you can literally fall from the top to the start. Like that game is very brutal in that way. It's like you can lose all of your progress in that game. And that's so interesting. Like it like creates an indescribable tension, I guess, if I want to sound pretentious. It's like,
I guess it's not completely so like in a lot of games when you lose your progress you'll just lose it, right? But there, since you're falling, you can sort of semi-recover depending on where you are, which is cool as well. Because there might be like things sticking out or whatever that saves your fall and stuff.
Well, I'm thinking more like if you think of like a traditional platformer. I'll take Celeste as an example because it doesn't have this at all in my opinion. It's like you're on the screen, and if you die on the screen you get reset to the start of the screen, right? And it's
what I'm saying is just like so Jump King, right, has this as well, right, where you'll jump and then you'll fall, but you might like depending on how you landed you might fall a little bit, or you might, right?
Exactly.
So it's sort of like this thing where you can, it's not predictable if you can recover or not, right? But sometimes you can recover it a bit, and sometimes not. And so you're more careful when you jump. Like it's more tension because you are trying to jump in a way so you don't accidentally fall even further or whatever, right? Than if you're just falling. Sorry, continue.
The point I was trying to make is that, because of that, when you're playing Getting Over It or Jump King or whatever, you always need to be careful about not falling. Like you said, it's like every jump is a potential fall to the bottom. And that's super interesting. And I don't know, like having I guess it goes back to like the main point of the video. It's like force the player to commit. When you jump in Getting Over It, you're jumping and there's a chance or a risk perhaps that you might fall all the way down to the bottom. But that's fine. It's like that's part of the game. That's fun. That's interesting. That was the point I wanted to make.
I agree.
Do you remember your Fire Emblem thing you wanted to?
I do not.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
You did have another example though. Do you want to talk about that?
Which one?
The Call of Duty one.
I mean, I guess I don't know exactly what I wanted to say about it. It's just like just to make it like more clear what we're talking about, I guess, right? So in Call of Duty, in some of the Call of Duties, the ones made by Treyarch, back in the day, there used to be a really interesting zombies mode, in my opinion, interesting. And the reason it isn't, so I guess there's sort of things that are not interesting and also interesting about it. So it's endless, right? Which could be argued is uninteresting, but it's sort of interesting because you can almost always survive. It's not this thing where it just gets impossible because of how it's designed. And I guess the point I wanted to make about that is that it's sort of interesting how, like, if you look at it, or like if you don't play it a lot, it seems like since it's in Call of Duty, right? It's the most normie game there is. You think, I want to shoot zombies, right? But that's not at all what the game mode is about. It's about movement and manipulating the AI, right? And you need to like think about where you want to move and when you want to move. and the resources are spread out all over the map. So you played it, you know what I mean, right? There's
Yeah.
like perks and stuff. And a lot of this has been lost with the newer ones, right? Because they've solved, in quotation marks, problems that didn't exist. So like the resources are spread out across the map. So it's like, oh, I want this resource and I want to buy this resource. And you need to like move to that place, but you can't just move there whenever, because you need to think about like, okay, do I have like how many zombies are left in this wave, and like how, I don't know, does this make sense at all?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so it's like about managing the zombies, because I don't remember what the limit, I think the limit's like 24 or something, maybe 32, like alive at once.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's not too many.
No, and that's I mean, there can be more when you kill them, so they can be more than 32 in a wave, but there can't be more than 32 or 24. I think it's 24 alive at one moment. Yeah. So, and I mean, yeah, it's this thing where like you have this like overpowered weapon, and it's like, oh, should I use this now or should I save the ammo? And then you like try to move around them in ways. Yeah, I don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah, I don't know. Do you have any points?
About Call of Duty or in general?
Yeah, I guess, or yeah.
Well, yeah, I think it's not exactly what you were talking about, but I think another interesting part about the Call of Duty Zombies mode, I haven't played it too much, but I played it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's sort of going back to this, like, you're fucked before you've lost, right?
Yeah. That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean.
Yeah, okay. So it's like, because the thing is, right, you can kind of get into a spiral, or you can, because it's all about kiting, right, as you said.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of get stuck in a corner, and like you have nowhere to go, and like there are 24 zombies, as you said, like all going up around you and like fucking you up from all directions at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's nothing you can do about it in that situation.
Yeah. I mean, there are in some cases, because sometimes you have weapons that can deal with it, but maybe you don't have it, or maybe you don't want to save ammo, or, you know.
Yeah. But like, there's a point where it's like, you've lost, you just haven't died yet, right? And that's interesting.
Yeah,
because,
exactly.
you know, going back to, as I said about the RNG, and that you said about, I don't remember what your example was, but like, you know, that means that your actions have consequences, because you've put yourself in a situation where you can't do anything about it, and you've lost. Yeah. And that's interesting, because that means that you always need to be careful about what you do.
Yeah.
And that's interesting.
Yeah, there's also like RNG there, right, with the random weapons and stuff, and you need to like save up money, and you do that by using weapons that are not as powerful and stuff like that. So you're playing risky to, like, that's like risk reward stuff, right, where you're like, you'll use a bad gun because you'll get more cash so you can get better things later, stuff like that. Yeah, it's not exactly the same as what we're talking about, but it's similar, I guess.
Yeah.
It's also very punishing, right, with the, I think you can take like 2 hits before you have perks and something, which is like, at least
and also like if you get hit, you get slowed and stuff, right, too?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. So it's very punishing in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have another example, if you'll allow me.
Yeah.
And it's a game that I've been playing very recently. I've kind of skipped out on playing it until recently, and I've been enjoying it a lot. And that's Spelunky.
Oof.
That game, you know, it's like a roguelike, procedurally generated thing where you're like running around in a cave, and there's spiders and spikes and skeletons and whatever, and you need to get to the end, basically, and you need to collect money on the way and whatever. And if you haven't played it, it's good.
Yep.
And the thing that's so interesting about that game, well, there's a lot of things that are really interesting about that game, but I think you've mentioned it, probably not on the podcast though, but it's like, in that game there are spikes where if you fall on them from the top, you die instantly. Like, no, because you have lives in that game, but like, no matter how many lives you have, if you fall on the spike, you're dead.
Yeah.
And And then there are a bunch of things that only deal 1 damage. So for example, you can get hit by an arrow from like an arrow trap, or you can get hit by a bat or a spider that falls from the ceiling and stuff like that. And one really, really, really interesting aspect of that game is the sort of insane chain reactions that can happen.
Yeah.
And so, for example, what might happen, because that game also has a lot of hit stun, right? I guess is the right word. So it's like if you get shot by an arrow, you're knocked out for like half a second or something. I don't know what the exact time is. And during that time, so much stuff can happen. For example, you could get shot by an arrow, which flungs you like halfway through the level into a bat, which then like bounces you into a spike so that you die.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't do anything about it during that interaction because you're completely locked all of the time. And the reason I wanted to take this example, or bring up this example, is because this would never be allowed in a modern game. Like, if following modern game design principles. Because, you know, if you get hit by the arrow, you should be able to press X and, like, you get iframes and you get recovery jump, and all is good, right? That's how, like, a modern game would do that. But in Spelunky, it's like, when you get shot, you fly, or, like, you don't always fly, but, like, if you're in the air, you get pushed in the air somewhere, and then you're knocked out for like half a second, and there's nothing you can do at all during that time.
Yeah.
And that's so interesting, once again, because it like increases the tension so much, because a single mistake can lead to your death. Like, even if you have 20 lives, it's like, if you get hit by an arrow, you can get flung into a spike and die. And that means that the tension is always like at max level, because like every single thing you do matters, and every mistake you make can lead to failure.
Yeah.
And I guess also, like, I don't want to sound like a modern game designer here, but it's like, from a balancing standpoint, it's genius, because, you know, if you're good at the game, you can like rack up quite a lot of lives. Like, I've seen runs where people have like 60 lives or something.
Nice.
And it's like insane. But it's like, they can still die in one hit if they're unlucky, right? It's like, because if I had 60 lives and like I only took 1 damage from everything, I would just run through like brainlessly, because nothing mattered anymore, because there's no way I would lose 60 lives in my run.
Yeah.
But like, since I can die from like at any point, all of a sudden there's still like an insane amount of tension that you don't get in like a game where you can always recover your jump, or where you have iframes after you get hit or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's just such an interesting game, and like, yeah. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts about it?
I mean, I agree. It's really hard to explain the feeling of that game, but it's very what's the word? Like, when you play it, you feel like you're in control until you aren't anymore, or whatever. I don't know. That's a super bad way to explain it, but it's very fair, ironically enough. Like, it's the trap works this way, the spider works this way, the spikes. I don't know why I'm saying a bunch of stuff, but like, the mechanics are very like telegraphed and clear about what they do, but if they trigger, weird stuff can happen, basically.
Yeah.
And it's super interesting how it actually really feels like you're like spelunking or whatever. And like, it feels like you're adventuring down. It evokes the feelings of going on a like mysterious adventure, basically, is what I'm saying. Yeah,
in
really
a cave with a bunch of death traps.
Yeah, with random stuff that you've never seen before. Yeah, that's how it feels, which is really nice.
Yeah. And I guess, you know, to make my point like extra clear, you mentioned it a bit, like, it feels very fair, right?
Yep.
And it's like, I think most, you know, if you follow modern game design principles, as I said, you know, Spelunky would be described as an incredibly unfair game. Yeah. Because you can't always do anything about your problems, right?
Yeah.
It's like, there are situations where you have committed to a mistake, or you've committed to doing something and that turns out to be a mistake, and then you're fucked.
I do think roguelikes get away with it more though, for some reason.
That's
I don't
true,
know
that's
why,
true.
but they do.
Oh, and I think the main reason Spelunky gets away with it's because it's old, right?
Yeah, well, why Spelunky
It
gets away with
wouldn't it wouldn't work like if
I feel
Spelunky
like
was released today.
if Spelunky was released at the time when it was released and was not a roguelike, I don't know if it would have been accepted as much. Because people are very picky about that stuff. I don't know why. Like, I feel like people accept death more, I guess,
Well, yeah, that's true.
or punishment in general, right? In roguelikes.
Yeah, I guess because you're like supposed to die.
Yeah, I think it conveys that message better, maybe,
Yeah.
or something. I don't know. I personally prefer, like, that's the biggest flaw in my opinion with Spelunky, probably. That is
It's a roguelike, yeah.
roguelike, yeah. Like, you could still do randomized stuff, but I don't like just completely random layout. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it works really well in that game, actually. But because of the, like, you know, we talked about, like, exploring an unknown cave or whatever, right? But I don't know. I think it would be more fun for me if it wasn't a roguelike, because I don't like random levels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess one thing I want to clarify is, like, I mentioned that the reason Spelunky is accepted is because it's old. And I don't think if someone made Spelunky today that it would receive the, like, popularity and acclaim that it got when it was released.
I don't know, maybe.
I don't think
Because
so.
if it was actually as well executed as that game, maybe. I feel like there's a lot of things going on in that game that makes people accept how it is.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm a bit skeptical.
Yeah, I mean, it would be harder to get recognition, right?
Yeah.
But that's just in general from, like, that era where there wasn't as much indie stuff going on at all, right?
But
So maybe,
essentially what I was trying to say is, like, Spelunky is remembered as a super fun game, despite the fact that it goes against all of this, like, modern game design crap where it's like you should always be able to recover. It's like people love Spelunky, and it's a fun game.
Most games that are good do go against these things, right?
True,
Or
very
fun.
true.
So I don't know, but I mean, I guess what you're saying is that people still perceive it as good, which, I mean, I would argue there's a lot of people that perceive Spelunky as unfair, actually, but
maybe.
Yeah, I don't know, but I guess you're kind of right that a lot of people like it compared to some other games that they just consider old or whatever.
Yeah. There's I have so many examples today.
Oof.
I don't know. Do you have anything you want to say first, or should I
don't remember.
go on with my example?
Was there anything else I wanted to bring up?
Something about Fire Emblem, but you forgot.
Yeah, that thing. We're not getting that thing, I don't think.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember that at all. Yeah, I'm sorry.
So I guess I'll move on with my yet another example of a good game here. And that's a game that I, as usual, always bring up in all episodes almost, and that's Counter-Strike. And specifically the bomb. I think the bomb is, like, a super interesting mechanic from a commitment perspective, because, like, the bomb is such a central part to CS, and it's, like, such a large part of the round, right? And there's, like, so many different things about the bomb that's all about commitment, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, once you've planted the bomb, it's planted, right? It's like, once the terrorists have planted the bomb, the terrorists are the defenders, the counter-terrorists are the attackers, and if the counter-terrorists don't succeed in attacking, they lose the round. So it's like, already there's a commitment. Then there's also the fact that you can't move the bomb, right? So if you've placed the bomb in a bad spot, like, let's say, oh, I planted the bomb for short, right? As people say when they play CS. And then all of a sudden you hear all the counter-terrorists coming from short. You can't do anything about that. You'll just have to live with the fact that the counter-terrorists are coming from the direction which is most beneficial to them. And then there's the fact from the counter-terrorist side, right? There's also commitment. Because, you know, with Counter-Strike has 2 sites, right, per map. And so you usually split, either 3 on one site and 2 on the other, or like 4 on one site and 1 on the other, because there's 5 guys in the team. And what ends up happening is that once the terrorists attack a site, the counter-terrorists need to decide very quickly if they are going to commit to defending that site, because, it might be a fake.
Yeah.
And so, once again, there's even more commitment, because the counter-terrorist needs to decide, should we risk it and just go all in on the site that they're attacking, or should we keep a few guys behind in case they have, 3 guys who are coming this way too?
Yeah.
And then there's also even more commitment, because, once the counter-terrorists defuse the bomb, they need to hold down the bomb or the defusal thing for like, it's 10 seconds if you don't have a kit, which I'm coming to as well, and it's 5 seconds if you do have a kit. And during those 5 or 10 seconds, you can't let go if you want the bomb to defuse.
Yep.
And so, I think I've seen some games, like some shitty, like AA indie stuff, competitive games, where like the progress on the bomb is kept after you let go, and it's super lame.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on. And so, there's a lot of super interesting situations that arise from it. The first one, as I said, it's like the counter-terrorists need to decide whether to like rotate to the site that's being attacked or not.
Yeah.
But there's also like always when you look at like CS matches, there are so many like famous moments which are like clutch diffuses, right?
Yeah.
If you've seen any like clip compilation from competitive CS, it's like, oh yeah, this guy defused the bomb in the last second.
Yeah.
And the thing, I guess the point I want to make about this, I'm just rambling a bunch about CS, but it's like such a fantastic mechanic commitment wise. It's like, as I said, once you hold down the defuse button, you need to hold it down until the bomb is defused.
Yeah.
And this means that there can be situations where it's like, if it's 10 seconds left until the bomb explodes, you as a counter-terrorist need to you need to defuse the bomb. That second you need to start defusing the bomb, otherwise the game is lost, or the round is lost. And so...
Right, so when it's like 10 seconds left, or if it's less left, you've already lost, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, going back to this, like, you've lost before the match is over, right? Or before you've lost before you've actually lost, I guess. It's sort of that mechanic. Because if you don't have a kit, it's like, if there's 10 seconds left on the bomb, you've already lost. And now it's all about doing the best of the situation, just getting the fuck out of there, and, trying to maybe kill a terrorist or 2 on the way, if they're still alive.
Yep.
And there's even, you could also have a situation, which is not very uncommon, where it's like, the counter-terrorists get to the bomb, they kill all the terrorists, but then they don't have time enough left on the bomb to defuse it. And it's like,
right, yeah.
I'm just like rambling and listing up a bunch of stuff, but it's like all of these interesting things come from the fact that the bomb is so commitment heavy that there's nothing you can regret. You can't go back in time, you can't undo anything. It's like 100% commitment all the way. And the final point I wanted to make, before I let you speak, is that the fact that it's like you can sort of fake out the defuse, right? So what often happens is if you have a 1v1 situation where like the bomb is planted and there's one terrorist left, there are a lot of situations where it's like if the terrorist has hidden himself somewhere and the counter-terrorist starts to defuse the bomb, there's like an audio cue, it's like a beeping sound, so the terrorist can hear that he starts defusing. But the counter-terrorist can fake that, right? So they can tap the bomb, then let go, and then wait for the other guy to peek. And now they're ready to kill him. Yeah. But they could also commit. So all of a sudden, the terrorist needs to make this like split-second decision, like, is the counter-terrorist actually defusing the bomb, or is he faking me out? And it's like, it's so interesting. All of it is so interesting. I don't know. I didn't have like a big like deep point I wanted to make. I just wanted to talk about how amazing the bomb is in CS.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about that specific example before, so...
Mm-hmm. Well, no, not in that context. It's like...
Well, about commitment stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I obviously agree with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because... I mean, like you said, if you don't... Like you said, there's games that don't do it, right? Where it's like, okay, it keeps the progress, and then it's like, well, then it doesn't matter if he's faking or whatever, right? He can just
exactly. You just peek because
he can just do a bit turn around, do a bit turn around, do a bit turn around, or whatever, right? Or yeah. It's
then there's also like I didn't even think of this. It's also the fact that if you buy the kit, you have 5 more seconds. In the round, basically, you have 5 more seconds to start the defuse, and so you need to, at the start of the round, you need to commit to buying a defuse kit. So it's like if you decided not to buy the defuse kit, you are fucked if you have less than 10 seconds left on the bomb, right? It's like you made that mistake all the way back in the beginning of the round, and it has consequences all the way to the end. Like, it's so interesting.
Yeah.
And you don't really get that in many modern games.
Yeah, I think this sort of ties back to when we talked about multiplayer games, right? In general. I think this is also another reason why the modern ones are kind of garbage. Because I'll bring up a super weird example. Because people don't like this stuff, and I don't know why exactly. So I'm gonna bring up a super weird example. You've played Overwatch, right?
Yep.
Are you familiar with the hero Mei?
No.
It's the one with the freeze gun.
The one that does the wall?
Yes, and freezes.
Yeah, okay,
people.
yeah. I know.
Yeah. So that hero, I don't know if she's good or whatever. I don't care. My point is just that a lot of people complained about that hero when they released that game. Which is
wait, can I guess?
Yes.
Is it that the wall was like permanent on a timer? Oh, okay, never mind then. Okay.
So what her gun does is you go up to someone. It's really close range. And as you shoot, they start moving slower and slower and slower until they freeze, literally. And then you can't move for like 2 or 3 seconds. And then, she can just kill you, basically, right?
Yeah.
And people said that was unfair. Which is really interesting because I don't know, maybe I don't think she was that good at that point, right? Maybe they patched it or whatever. Maybe she was good at some point, but like, because you need to walk up to someone, freeze them for like 5 seconds, and then they're frozen. But because we were talking about, right, with the commitment, right? It's like, okay, but I can't do anything. Well, maybe you shouldn't have been standing there, right, or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think developers see that people talk like that, especially in multiplayer games, and balance around it, right? They try to. I don't know why, actually, but they just.
Well, it's because people complain about it, right?
But it's not. People complain about a lot of things that they don't fix, so I don't know why they care about that one. Because it's sort of obvious if you. Like you get what I mean. We talked about like League of Legends and stuff before, right? Where it's like, okay, it's not that fun that you can just escape everything, right? It's very uninteresting.
Yeah.
So like, why would that be? I don't know. I don't know how to.
Yeah.
I think, but like, we talked about like the smoke or something before, wasn't it? No, was it
in CS? I think the Flash we talked about.
Yeah, the Flash, like how a modern game wouldn't implement that way. It's sort of the same thing. Like I don't know why it is that way right now.
Well, I think it is because the developers are, in a sense, listening to the players, because the players see the flashbang and they say, wow, it's unfair that I can't do anything when I've been flashed. And then they like nerf it or remove it or whatever.
Right, but it's not interesting at all if you can do something about everything, right?
That's sort of the point we're making today.
Because you can't make any interesting strategical decisions if you can always do something about it.
But I think it's just the fact that people don't understand the point that we've been trying to make today. It's that, you know, in the example of the Flash, the solution to the Flash is to not be in a situation where you can be flashed, or to be ready for the Flash, right?
But like, because I want to just hammer the point in here. So that if we make the counter example, right, that the Flash is unfair. Yeah, so we add the counter Flash. So if you get flashed, you can counter Flash if you tap the button at the right time. But if you get counter flashed, that's unfair. So you get the counter Flash. Yeah. And then that's unfair. So you get the counter Flash. And then you keep doing that. That, like, you can go on forever, right? And I guess you stop at some point where people think it's not unreasonably unfair anymore, right? But that entire thing is super uninteresting, right? Especially in a competitive setting, because you're just measuring reaction time, or right? Who can time their counter flashes? Yeah. So there's no strategy at all.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because like, you know, the thing about flashes in CS, right, is that you need to be ready for them all the time. Yeah. You know, like, you know, a lot of especially when you're playing as a counter-terrorist, when you're defending, right? A large part of that is like being able to counter the enemy flashbangs. And the way you counter the enemy flashbangs is by either standing in a spot where it's easy to look away, and you have to be ready for the flash, right? Or you stand in a spot where like they don't throw flashes often. And like if you get flashed, maybe you should stand in a spot where it's easy to run away if you do get flashed. Like that's how you solve the flash. You don't solve the flash with the anti-flash button, as you said. Yeah. I think it goes back to, I mentioned it in a previous episode, where it's like game developers always seem to like create a problem and then give the player the solution to the problem. Yeah. But like, let the player come up with the solution as well. Yeah. Like you can have a bit of that, obviously, but you can also have a bit of not that. It's like you can create a problem that the player just needs to deal with somehow. You don't need to give the player the solution to the problem. And I think the Flash is a perfect example of that. The solution isn't
I
the
guess
anti-Flash
my thought there is like, what is the problem? Because you can't solve it. That's why I'm sort of like not... Like I obviously understand what they're saying, but like if you're like, okay, you can escape with the escape button, but then they can chase you, like, oh, it feels bad, so they can chase you with the chase button, but then you can escape them with the escape chase button, right? You can take that. I guess when I said that example, I sort of understand it. So it's if it's something that helps you do something, then it's mitigated. Yeah, and that makes sense because that matches modern design actually. So never mind. I just realized what it is. So, okay, I'm gonna
because like
so mechanics that help you win can be mitigated, but not mechanics
well, isn't it the other way around?
Like no, it is like if you're doing something that helps you win, that can be mitigated
by the other player.
But if you're losing, you can mitigate it. Yeah, so I think that was the same way. No,
you said can both times.
No, but like what I mean is like if you're losing, you can mitigate it. Like the
it's
person
like if
that
you
is
made
doing
a mistake.
Something, you can mitigate something that is bad, but not something that you can't mitigate something that you did. Like you can't
force something to be good.
Yeah, I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, sort of.
You can't mitigate someone else's mistake, right? So if someone made a mistake, you can't mitigate it again to mitigate. So you can only mitigate the mistake the first time. So the loser always gets the benefits, which is, I just realized, is why this is so uninteresting. Because I hate mechanics that give benefits to the loser. In general. I don't know if we talked about it here, but like
Yeah, we talked
like,
about it on the fairness video, I think.
maybe
once again.
it's so boring when games are like, oh yeah, everyone should have fun. Well, yeah, fuck you.
Yeah.
They can have fun.
If everyone
Anyway.
has fun, then everyone is bored, because it's boring when everyone has fun.
Also, everyone can have fun
Yes.
if they're reasonable.
If
people.
they're not bad at the game.
Yeah, even if they're bad, who cares?
Yeah,
like, I
true,
can have
true.
fun when I'm bad.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to say? Any point you want to make?
Maybe I do, but I think this might be a good place to stop, don't you think?
Yeah, sure.
Or do you have another point you want to bring up?
No, not really.
Yeah.
I think
I mean, we can talk about this forever, so
yeah,
maybe we'll
we've
have to...
argued our case at least a little.
Yeah. Yeah, because I have more examples, but I feel like we're just going to say the same thing, so
Yeah.
we can bring those up in other topics,
Mm-hmm.
adjacent topics, I feel like.
We've probably already talked about a few of these things, or we have talked about a few of these things before.
Yeah.
So I guess to sum up our thoughts, commitment is interesting. You should force the player to commit, and you should force the player to live with the consequences of their mistakes.
Yeah, and that
Do you have
creates
anything to
strategy.
add? Yes.
Yeah, so it's a balance between strategy and execution.
Mm-hmm.
And you as a designer need to think about how much you want of each, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, and leave a comment if you disagree or agree.
Yes.
We
Many
would love
comments.
to,
Many
hear your
thumbs.
thoughts.
Many thumbs and many comments.
Yeah.
And subscribe. And watch the old videos.
Yes, they're very good.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.